Hi, I'm Gohar Vardanyan, and welcome back to the Guitar Etude series. Today we have Etude number 11 by Leo Brouwer. This is from his Estudios Sencillos, Volume 3. So I chose this etude because I thought it had really cool rhythms, a good opportunity to work on different color changes and dynamic changes since it has phrases repeated identically, so you could play around with how you want to treat them to make them sound a bit more interesting. The actual purpose of the etude, according to Leo Brouwer, it says under the number para los ligados y las posiciones fijas, which means for slurs and fixed positions. So what you'll find here is that you will be in a certain position and you will have to do slurs right there with different fingers. And talking about the slurs first, the best way to do it is to make sure that your left hand is in an optimal position to have access to slurs and notes on all of the strings, so you don't have to dance around with your left hand to get the slur. So for example, right from the beginning here, I'm going to have to do a slur with the index finger and then with the second finger on the second string. So I need to put my hand position in a way that these two fingers are free to do the slur without any adjustments. So you have a fixed position and you're doing the slurs. And then here you have a shift here. But it kind of, when you're slurring, you already have to, it's not really a slur, it's actually a glissando, but you have to land in a position where you can land with the other fingers and then keep going without any unnecessary movement. And then you're already here. And then back again in a position where you are able to access all the strings. Same thing here, you're in this position now. You're doing one slur. And then here. So you have to always be vigilant of how much your left hand is dancing around. You really don't want it to. You want it to be pretty stable, in an optimal position for everything, to make it effortless and to not have extra noises, extra opportunities for your left hand to be inaccurate and buzz. Same thing is going to happen in the second section where you have this. You want to be on the tips of your fingers, make sure everything is stable, nothing is being muted. This position and you're doing slurs with different fingers. And everything is right there without any extra movement. Here I changed actually some fingers. The suggestion is to do it this way. And I find it to be more difficult, especially for a beginner and an intermediate, to do a slur this far away with the third finger. It might seem that the third finger is stronger than the pinky, but when you are forced to separate these two fingers, it might be more difficult for you to actually slur this way. So I do it with the fourth finger. And if you train your fourth finger to be strong enough, this is more comfortable because you don't have to stretch. It's just that the pinky is usually weaker, so you have to work on it to make sure you get a good sound. So I changed it to this instead of that. And then you have the double slurs here. So you have to be, again, in an optimal position where you could slur with both fingers at the same time. So that's from the technical standpoint and the actual, I guess, purpose of the etude. However, you can also start playing around with the colors and the dynamics. So from the start, it does give you forte. So that's kind of decided for you. But for example, when it comes back in the second time and it says meno forte, like less forte, maybe you could do a little bit more, or maybe you could also change the color. So you have the first time. Maybe here you can do a little bit more portincello. And then here, which is where I probably did the most color changes, you can choose to do the first one, for example, forte and ponticello. And then it repeats exactly the same way. So maybe you could do a dolce and a soft as if it's an echo of the first one. And again, and then you go into the next section. So really, it doesn't have to be exactly what I'm doing. I would say play around with it and see how you can make it sound more interesting. The key thing, and I've talked about it before in other etudes and videos, if you're going to change colors, you have to make sure, or dynamics for that matter, you have to make sure you're doing it in the beginning of the phrase and not give it away by traveling towards your desired color at the end of the previous phrase. You want to finish it. For example, here, if I want to do one ponticello, I'm going to finish it and then directly move instead of doing something like this. So where I'm kind of preparing for the dolce, but really I'm not actually finishing the previous phrase in the color that I decided. So you have to be careful with that. Make sure you finish one, then change, then start the next one. It'll have a more clear contrast and it will be more interesting rather than sort of foreshadowing what you're going to do. So I hope that was helpful. In terms of the level of this piece, I would say probably intermediate, mostly because of the rhythms. In the beginning, when you're still trying to learn to move your fingers, it's hard to keep track of syncopated, offbeat rhythms. So I would say early intermediate. Physically, it's not very difficult to play, but I bet the rhythms will throw you off. So wait until you are comfortable playing the guitar and then introduce all this rhythmic variation. So I hope that was helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.